So we have a very unique story. We are the 7th certified mass timber plant in the Americas. We have the only process in the United States where most of our timber comes from within about 100 miles of us when we're doing our mass timber products. We are supplied by what we would call the downfall or the byproduct of healthy, sustainable forests. That's a very unique thing that in the industry, we're the only ones doing that. In Europe, they have a couple other plants that work off of that. Essentially, what I mean by the byproduct of a healthy forest is we use all of the small stuff that most others do not want. So our product is everything is 12-inch and smaller down to a 4.5-inch top, 4.5-inch log. So the smallest log out there will still produce one piece of 2x4, where most of that stuff in the old days or even in other mills are used as pulp, used as chips, and basically it's considered waste. That considerably helps as far as carbon impact on the environment. It considerably cuts down the risk of forest fires, which, as we know in today's society, has some major problems to the environment as well as the overall health and safety of the United States. As lumber comes into Vaagen Timbers, it starts off being offloaded onto the finger joint line, which is where everything comes through that point. From there, it runs through the scarfers, and the grooves are cut, and the finger joints are cut into the ends of the lumber. There is a spritz of water that is added to the end of that piece of lumber once the finger joint scarf heads have cut grooves in. It then moves to the other side of the scarfing head table, and glue is applied after the second set of scarfing heads cut finger joint fingers into the lumber. From that point, it migrates down the line into the crowder, which the water end of the lumber is introduced to the glue end of the lumber. The water activates the glue, and the process starts that runs through the crowder, which the initial drive wheel is the fastest drive wheel, and it goes to the slowest drive wheel. As those move through, it holds those finger joints together, and the glue and the water make a bond, and the glue bond in the finger joint is created. From the finger joint line, it either goes as a external long length finger joint product, which is sent out the door as a wholesale product, or it stays internal for projects that we have sold, and specifically that lumber is being used for that purpose. If it goes up and the process carries it through the stacker and we're running finger joint material, it then carries out the stacker, it's stacked, runs through the bander, gets wrapped, and then gets sent directly out that we sell to Wildwood Trading Group, which is our sales arm for our finger joint. If it stays within the internal portions of the plant, it goes off and carries on as a project material and goes to the molder. From that point, it goes up to the head and the table of the molder and is pushed through the molder, where all four sides are ground down and made into a very specific dimension, and all of the eased edge of the lumber is taken off. So we have a square product that the pores have been opened up, which enhances our lamination process. After it goes through the molder, the lumber then carries up and runs into the beginning phases of the press. Whether that lumber is destined to be a glue lam beam, a CLT panel, or a glue laminated GLT panel is predetermined, and at that point, as it runs through the process, it goes to its specific areas. For cross-laminated timber, it comes through, the long lamellas are edge glued. They go up to the layup table. They are carried onto the belt once we have enough lamellas that there's a 4-foot wide layer of long lamellas. It carries through the glue head. Glue is applied and stops. The vacuum gantry lifts the short lamellas up, depending on the length of the panel itself, anywhere from 20 feet up to 60 feet. Those are preloaded into a slot underneath the vacuum gantry, which the vacuum gantry picks them up and sets them onto the pre-glued set of long lamellas. The glue process is then repeated as the short lamellas are coated with a layer of glue, and then the third layer, which would be a long layer, long lamellas, are added to that stack, which at that point becomes a 3-ply CLT panel. an additional layer of glue, short lamellas, glue, and long lamellas are added for a 5-ply, and 4 more additional layers are added for a 7-ply in that process. From there, once the depth is determined, the ply is determined, and the length is determined, that press load continues on and goes into the heart of the press, which is a high-frequency RF press. A ceramic generator creates a frequency. It's amplified and put into the press portion, which is under high pressure, and creates frequency almost similar to a microwave, which heats up the glue and cures it and sets it. It creates a lamination bond that is always stronger than the actual wood itself. Our press presses 20 feet at a time in a 4-foot width and a 3-ply panel. Every 20-foot press is 100% cured in just under 5 minutes. Depending on the thickness, that time can vary. The same process is with glulam beams as well as GLT panels. They all receive glue in some way, shape, or form. They get run through the belts and then run through the press to create a strong bond. As the beams, the CLT panels, or the GLT panels leave the press, they are then quality control checked for lamination, temperatures, for overall quality. Once that's completed, samples are then removed from the panels, the beams themselves. We take that to the CNC to have all the parts cut out of it, the penetrations cut out of it, any type of routings, any type of chainsaw cuts, any type of hardware. Everything is cut and ready for that to be installed. After the CNC is done doing its cuts, its routings, whatever the case is there, that part then moves over to the finish end, which is all of your coatings, all your sealants, any type of final hand sandings, making sure everything is to spec, within spec, and also the right size, length, width, thickness, everything that goes with that. Once the coatings are on, if there's any hardware to be put on, at that point every hardware is installed, whether it's a knife plate, a bolt, a Magant, a Rikon, any type of the connection detail that needs to be put on. From there, parts are wrapped or tarped and then loaded onto the truck in the order specifically defined with a load plan that's for that specific customer for that specific project. So that ends the process of production.